WP, you're a park ranger of a very dense forest, and you take care of everything, including the supernatural cryptids. One day, a murder happens in your forest, and the culprit evades the authorities. You then politely ask the cryptids for their aid in the culprit's capture. They agree. I have a weird job. Actually, the job is not that weird, but my cologs, you see, are not of this world. I'm a ranger stationed at Hocking Hill State Park, and my job is to walk these lands, look for fire, and make sure the kids coming up with a 24-pack of natty don't do anything stupid like paint their names on the walls of Ash Cave. All of that is fine and good. I enjoy getting to spend my time outside and away from most people. I'm never the guy who has to put on the shows or the talks. That's up to Sally and Jim. They actually can stand other humans. It wasn't too long ago that I could go weeks without talking to someone in my job. The solitude suits me. It's a peace of mind that rarely comes when I'm in Logan or Athens for meetings. However, 3 years ago, that all changed when walking one of my evening patrols, I noticed some orange light coming from back in the woods. I figured it was some kids who started an illegal fire, and I'd walk up, ask them to douse it and move along. College kids, I found, but not the kind I'm used to. You see, these kids were about 8 feet tall, with gray skin and big black eyes, and large hands and feet that seemed almost cartoonish in relation to the rest of their pear-shaped bodies and egg-shaped heads. They had that same stupid jaw-open look when caught that most humans have, though, when I stumbled up to their camp. I always thought in moments like this that I'd freeze in fear, but no. I managed to get out my usual phrase of, "Hey, it's the dry season and you're not a campsite. We gotta put this fire out to keep something terrible from happening. There's open campsites. If you keep the noise down and don't break anything, you can stay there for the night." I wasn't sure who was more surprised, them or I, at my request. The one closest to me gave a look to the others, and with a nod and a snap of its fingers, this creature put the fire out, and the others vanished. Remember your kindness. We will human. That was the first of many such encounters over the last few years. Always brief, always cordial, and always they stayed the line with the rules. They often picked up trash, took care of natural issues, and frankly made my job a little easier. At one point I got used to seeing them. I never said a word of our encounters because frankly, who wants to be the extra crazy park ranger that doesn't want to talk to anyone other than to say, "Hey, I met E.T., regardless, they weren't so bad and always did as was asked." Last year, we had an invasive species of bug try to strangle our tree population, and I happened to notice when doing surveys that the area where they liked to camp seemed to have no existence of the creatures. I put 2 and 2 together and informed them those particular critters were fair game and to eat their fill. My ears still bleed from what I think might be joyous screeching noises. Our partnership, however, took a turn this week. On Friday, there was a U.S. Department of Corrections van that crashed just outside the park on US 33, and a prisoner escaped. Why he came into the forest and why he killed 3 people at a cabin and didn't steal their car, I'll never know. I was worried about my co-workers being discovered by the FBI and Highway Patrol trouncing through my forest here, so I went to warn them. As far as I'm concerned, they're the best guests of this park. I told Gleck, their leader, about the situation. It wasn't safe. They'd likely be found by some not-so-nice folks, or worse, get hurt by the dangerous man on the loose. I gently suggested that they go home for just a little while to avoid discovery. "Not a problem," Gleck said, is his slightly better than broken English. "We find you, man." With that, they each slipped into the darkness. It was no more than an hour later when I got a familiar tap on the back. Gluck then led me down to a place just off the trail. To say it looked like a murder scene would be like calling a spade a spade. The escapee, still in that familiar jumpsuit, was barely recognizable. Missing a leg, large claw marks, and nearly bisected at the waist. It took me a minute to take in the scene before Glick says, "Looks like Bear got hungry to me," as he and the rest of his associates hummed with what sounded like laughter. I thanked them and said being Loki for a few days might be in their best interest before radioing in. Attention all units. I believe I have a code 20 here off the trail. Looks like Luna found him last night and got hungry. My next thought was one that was rather difficult for me to process. ODNR is going to make me go before the media and paint me a hero. Sigh. I hate attention.